Welcome to MCC Conversations. I'm Professor Albert Kim from the Communication Department, where we have conversations with people in and around our learning community. Joining us today is Dr. Tom Reynolds. He's the new Dean of Institutional Development, overseeing the workings of the MCC Foundation. Welcome, Tom. It's good to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So this is brand new here to the MCC community. Welcome to MCC.
Well, thank you.
Great to have you here.
Very happy to be here.
It's a community that has a wonderful, long, tradition of at least 50 years of educating students and changing students' lives. Tell us a little bit about how you got here. What's your 60-second resume?
Well, I come to this opportunity with over 30 years of experience in institutional advancement, in higher education, administration and teaching, in nonprofit management and consulting, and in government and politics. And so I have a rather eclectic mix of experiences, but I think every one of those areas offers me something that I can leverage in my new role here on behalf of the college. This role in particular interested me for a few reasons. First, I wanted to work in a community college setting. I think it is these types of institutions that have the greatest impact on the economic mobility of our local residents. It is these types of institutions that have the greatest impact in addressing inequalities that exist in our region and in our state. It is these types of institutions that are best equipped to meet local community needs and to address regional workforce needs and to be able to shift our programs and offerings in a nimble fashion to meet those needs, since they're always changing. And of course, there's no other sector of higher education that does that more efficiently than a community college. And so for someone like me with a public policy background, I was interested in working in a sector where I could affect change at scale. That this is where you can make change at a more macro level, not just for individual students, but for the community, for the region, and for the state. And where better to do that than at Connecticut's flagship community college, Manchester.
Right. We do think of ourselves as that flagship. We like to think of ourselves as sort of blazing those unblazed trails. As you said, being nimble to adjust or tweak a program or a degree to react to the needs of industry, of the marketplace, of jobs, of new jobs, of different altered jobs. And we're certainly living now through a pandemic, hopefully turning a corner or two. As we kind of look ahead to 2021, giving in general has been dramatically affected by the pandemic. Certainly the MCC Foundation has. We used to celebrate every April. I'm sure you heard about the tremendous Fine Food and Friends auction and the wine auction from years ago. That was such a wonderful event to celebrate the best of MCC. Couldn't do that last year. Had to do a bunch of virtual events. That changes things. What do you see, certainly in what you know about giving around the state of Connecticut, to what we can look forward to this year and moving forward into the future? How is giving changing or has changed in our state?
Yeah, first at the national level, we're seeing very mixed results in higher education and in community college with regard to their philanthropy. Some institutions are seeing record-breaking results even with the pandemic because donors see the urgency of the need that maybe they did not recognize before. Whereas other institutions, including a number in Connecticut, are struggling because the normal events and means of outreach that we would have utilized are no longer available to us. And so some foundations and institutions are struggling with alternative strategies to reach their friends and their alumni and their community supporters. And we're definitely seeing that here. So we have seen some increases in new donors and new alumni donors in support of student emergency needs, but we're also seeing declines in other areas because of the event that didn't occur and because of our inability to have kind of the more personal contact that we might have had with leadership donors external to the institution.
Right.
So it definitely presents a challenge. Our role in the Advancement Office is to partner with the foundation to make the case for our mission and for our student needs, regardless of the pandemic or economic climate. So we will continue to be as aggressively as possible in making the case for the role of community colleges in Connecticut, making the case for the role of community colleges in growing our state economy, and making the case that if you are a donor who wants to have an impact not just on student lives, but on the region and the workforce, this is the type of institution that you should invest in. And so we're going to make that case as aggressively as we can, no matter what the climate is. But we do, of course, look forward to a post-pandemic world in which we can get back to meeting in person with our friends and supporters and having events on campus that bring our community together.
Absolutely.
Because, of course, that's very important.
So you mentioned about community colleges and their unique role, certainly in the state of Connecticut's economy and the workforce, and just empowering for students and their families as well. Tell us what you know about teaching in a community college system.
Yes, before I returned to administration, I did work for almost 7 years in college teaching, most of those as a full-time professor in a private university. But before that, I did have adjunct teaching experience at Capital Community College and at Three Rivers Community College. And those experiences still kind of stand out to me as really highlights of my teaching career.
And so what classes and why do those stand out? What kinds of classes?
Well, first of all, I taught political science because in an earlier part of my career, I served in the state legislature. And had served in local government and had even worked for the United States Senate for a while. And so after I retired from the legislature, I decided to teach political science and public policy, and was happy to get my first teaching experience in a community college setting. And immediately fell in love with these types of institutions. These are students who are pretty passionate about getting their degrees and advancing their personal and professional lives. There's a great diversity of students here that's fun and exciting. I had students not only from around the state, but from different parts of the world, from all different backgrounds. And so they each brought something different to the classroom and to our discussions of politics and current events. And so that was always fun. But really, what was most meaningful is that my ability as a teacher to impact a student's life seemed more significant and visible as an instructor. Right? That our capacity in these institutions to literally change the trajectory of a student's life is something that happens pretty regularly. And that's pretty exciting. And at least as an instructor, it was exciting for me. So I really enjoyed it. So I'm happy to be back here. And maybe one day they'll let me teach a class here. So.
Well, might as well. I got to wrap up with Chiefs or Buccaneers. Did you have an opinion about the Super Bowl, the big game?
I have a history of always supporting the hometown team. Since there wasn't one, I thought I should probably support the Patriots' former quarterback. And so I was probably leaning towards the Buccaneers. But at the same time, I was born in the Midwest, and I have some affinity to the Chiefs as well. So I was rather torn.
That was a very good diplomatic answer.
But it was fun to watch. My wife and boys are pretty passionate about football, so I had no choice but to watch it.
Of course.
But it was fun. Very
good. Well, Dr. Tom Reynolds, thank you so much for joining us today on MCC Conversations. It's great to get to know you. Look forward to partnering with you and doing whatever you can to help raise the profile of MCC and do whatever we can here at MCC to help institutional advancement.
Great. Thanks for the invitation. We'll look forward to coming back anytime.
Thanks so much for joining us today on MCC Conversations. I'm Professor Kim.